Last week, Congress approved a measure that would revive a program to keep small businesses from shuttering and their employees from going on unemployment due to the coronavirus. Now, the nearly $500 billion measure will provide more funds to the Paycheck Protection Program, which was halted last week after the $349 billion set aside were quickly depleted. Is this second round of funding enough to keep small businesses from declaring bankruptcy? And what can banks do to help their small business customers? Joining us now to discuss how his bank is working to help small businesses and more is President and CEO of Nicolet National Bank from Wisconsin. Mike Daniels joins us. Mike, thanks for being here. I want to start with the bill passed by Congress last week that gives $310 billion more dollars to small businesses. Now, some are saying that's unlikely to fully meet owners' needs. What are you hearing from the folks in your community?
Well, on the street, I'll tell you what, when it went live at 9:30 on Monday, it was a disaster. It's since picked up and got a lot better, but I expect the money will run out probably today or tomorrow.
Wow. Now, from what you've witnessed as a president and CEO of your bank, what do you think we'll see in round three? Is there going to be a round three coming from Congress to help these small businesses, and should there be?
That's a really good question. Rounds one and two, we saw a lot of volume. Our bank's about a $3.5 billion bank located in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we've done almost 3,000 transactions total, of which 2,500 were roughly PPP in both rounds for about $350 million. I think the big concern is what cash will there be 3, 6, 9 months from now when all of these safer from home orders are open and businesses start to try to get back to normal? Where will that cash come from?
Yeah. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said Tuesday that any small business loan over $2 million will be subject to a full review before it could be forgiven. Now, this statement came after the Trump administration received criticism from some big companies, and even the Los Angeles Lakers received tax-backed loans that were intended for small businesses. The Lakers ended up giving their $4.6 million loan back. Do you see that there is a need for greater oversight on who is applying for these loans so that small business owners aren't left without funds?
I think largely the small businesses, it's met the demands of most small businesses. I think community banks have probably done a better job than the larger organizations like U.S. Bank, Wells, the real large banks. It's probably why round two was such a disaster, because they let them batch fund. I think anytime you develop a game such as this to put money out without any rules, or you're making up the rules as they go along, there's going to be things that fall through the crack. We worked really hard to make sure the small businesses in and around our communities, their needs were met.
Yeah. Well, what are your customers telling you? I know many people here in New Orleans were late and the funds were gone before they could apply for them. And you came up with a novel idea at Nicolet Bank of putting together a microgrant program for your small business customers. What's the idea?
Well, I mean, the idea was the amount of time between application and closing and funding for many of these small businesses, particularly on April 10th, when a lot of the sole proprietor or really small businesses, your barbers, stylists, delis that were mom and pop type shops, the backbone of small business in America. The money ran out when they needed the most. So what we decided to do was anybody who met the criteria of a PPP loan under $5,000, that was one of our customers, we just gave them the money. No strings attached, no repayment. We created a micro grant program. We funded about $1.1 million of that by putting, our money back out there, because in fact, the community bank can only be as strong as the communities in which it operates. And, your communities can only be strong if your small business is strong. So it's really living the three circles and living the mission and purpose of the organization.
Wow, I love that. Now, look, as a bank, you need to stay in business as well. What's the incentive to put together a program like that? What inspired this? I mean, you're basically giving away money to your clients.
Correct. what the real basis for it is these people need the money. This is, I mean, we work, we live, we make our money in this community, and in order for these communities to stay vibrant, in which Nicolet Bank operates, we need to have vibrant small business, and it's our way of giving back. It's our way of making sure small business stays relevant. Small business doesn't go by the wayside, and these people, the PPP program doesn't really do anything for them, or didn't really do what they really needed, because what they need to do is, some of them are non-essential, Raymond, which means they're not able to open right now. So for the 8 weeks of payroll, it doesn't do them any good. They need to be able to pay their rent, keep their lights on, maybe keep 1 or 2 employees, but they need to be able to be ready for when the safer at home orders are lifted, and whatever new normal on the other side of this looks like.
Are there limits to what the microgrants can be used for? Payroll, supplies, equipment? I mean, do you all place those restrictions on the funds?
No, no restrictions at all. We do make them go through the PPP application. They come in because we don't really know what they're going to qualify for. And let's say it's $4,500, or our average grant of the ones we've given is about $3,900. We basically tell them we'll do the PPP, or we have a grant program in which you don't have to do any of the monitoring. There's no strings attached. There's no repayment. All we have them. We do have them acknowledge that we're not sure whether it'll be a taxable situation. As you know, that's still up in the air on a lot of these grants, on how they're going to be treated from a tax standpoint. But most of them are just very thankful and appreciative to have the money to be able to meet this month's rent, or this month's utility payment, or pay the 1 or 2 employees they have.
Why aren't we hearing about other microgrant programs like this at community banks across the country at a time like this? I mean, so many small businesses are right on the edges here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think community banks are rallied behind their customer base and doing what they can. We've been very fortunate and blessed where we live and work, to have to know our customers, to be involved in our communities, and we just felt it very important that we not only talk the talk when times are good, but we walk the walk when people need it the most.
Now, many states are looking at opening up some businesses, certain businesses, in the coming weeks. However, there's no firm reopen dates, and the stress that these companies are under. I mean, look, my family was in the restaurant business for years. If you told my grandfather that he could only fill 50% of the tables, he would tell you get lost, because he wouldn't be able to make his basic payments at the end of the month. How are these companies going to make it? What are they telling you?
Pretty much the same thing. Right now, they're hoping to survive on what carryout they can do. Some are shuttered completely in waiting to ride it out. But it's going to be a struggle at 50% capacity. It's how are we going to make it? Will we be able to make it? Hopefully the microgrant program that we put in place lets them look at a few more cards down the line. But we definitely need things to start to reopen in a safe manner. But these businesses needs to return to some sort of normalcy, whatever that looks like.
I agree. No, it's going to be very difficult, and sadly, we're going to lose a lot of small businesses in this crunch, and maybe some big ones as well. Some of these big retailers are going to have difficulties meeting those margins as well. Mike, how many more of these grants do you anticipate you'll be awarding in the coming weeks?
It's a good question. If you would have told me when we started this program that we'd have 1.1 million out, I was thinking maybe we'd have demand for $500,000 worth, and we're up to 1.1 million today. It really is hard to say, but whatever that is, we're gonna stand up and meet the need of the community, and meet the need of our customers. I think more people, and I've seen things where people have complained about the larger banks would pick your bank of the day. Never more important has there been a more important time for these small businesses to say, it matters where I bank. Because their name, you know them when they walk in, you go to church with them, you go to school with them, they know your kids, your kids play together. And And I'm optimistic and hopeful that they make it through this. The realistic banker in me, unfortunately, believes there's going to be many that won't be able to make it as a result of this.
Yeah. Mike,
And that's
very
sad.
quickly before we go, how big a role has faith played in this initiative and in this really throwing a lifeline to these businesses in a moment of crisis?
Well, I think, I mean, how can it not, right? I mean, it's the backbone. It's the backbone of humanity. It's it's your neighbor. You try to help people however you can, with what you can.
I agree. Well, Mike, thank you for what you're doing. And you can find out more about Mike Daniels and the Nicolet National Bank's innovative microgrant program in response to COVID-19 at Nicolet Bank, NICOLET bank.com. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks, Raymond. Have a good day. Be safe.